Welcome to Cosplay Stitch and Seam. I'm Panin.
I'm Fire.
I'm tired.
Oh. Why
Also,
are you
David.
tired, David?
I got my first round of vaccinations, and it is knocking me on my back, and I am very, very exhausted, but excited for the chance to be able to see all of your beautiful faces again at a con near you.
I was gonna say, you can say butt on this podcast.
I could. I just couldn't commit to it.
Real funny side of that. If you say bum in front of a bunch of first graders, they lose their minds.
Oh no.
I told them all to sit on their bums.
Oh no.
Yeah, it was a bad choice.
You're supposed
of
to
words.
say sit on your pockets.
I was trying to find that word and I
Is that a
forgot
thing?
it. So I was
Is
like,
that a
sit on
thing?
your bums, guys.
So this has been kindergarten talk on Cosplay Stitch and Seam.
Yes.
Who is that disembodied voice?
If you want to send us your cosplay horror stories, where can they do that, Panin?
They can do
Yes.
that at cosplaystitchandseam@gmail.com or
Or you can go to the website, cosplaystitchandseam.com, and fill out the Google form.
Or you can go to our Facebook page and join our Work in Progress Wednesdays after you send us a message there and join the awesome community that we have. I'm going to bring this up to 100%, you guys. Here we go. And while you're on the internet, if you want to help out the show and just kind of be a great person all around, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, Audible, or wherever they let you. Thanks to Howl Cause for pointing out that Stitcher no longer allows reviews. Can confirm that.
oh bummer.
Yeah, super disappointing to see that. But there's more than one way just to share to support the show. Share an episode with a friend, and if you want to throw us a couple bucks to help keep the lights on here, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/cosplaystitch. For $3 a month, we give you a shout out on the show. For $5 a month, we get you access to our once a month live stream D&D cosplay chronicles. Woo!
Woo!
Yeah. When's
So
our
I
next
think
one?
as of this airing, it's going to be just before our next stream on April 11th, isn't it?
yes.
Yes, I believe
Yeah.
so. Yeah.
So get in there while you can, and you'll be able to see the episode live with video and all of our stupid faces, and it'll be lots of fun.
Beautiful faces.
Yeah.
Beautiful faces.
Thank you. Thank you, disembodied, yet not
Introduced guest.
introduced guest. Thank you for finding the word I needed.
Mercedes, what's up with the Pass the Brush challenge?
I get them in.
Where do they send them?
Yes, send them to me. Get your Pass the Brush videos into me. I'm editing things very slowly right now. It might take me a second after the deadline to get them all finished, but you can send those to cosplaystitchandseam@gmail.com. You just need 2 videos, one not in costume and one post in costume. There we go. I can words. So yeah, get those into me by April 30th, guys. I love you.
Hooray. And as always, foxbeautycosmetics.com has offered us a promo discount code for 10% off any of their products, which are all vegan. And you just use the code Stitch and Seam, all spelled out. And even if we forget to announce or don't announce or just fall off the face of the earth, they are holding on to that Stitch and Seam promo code for all of time. So you can get that anytime, even if you don't still hear it in our episodes.
Even if you are at the end of the world in your end of the world gear, go get that makeup so you look legit. There we go.
In your end of the world gear.
You want to?
Your apocalyptic.
Apocalyptic!
Ah!
Yes! That's pretty good.
I need this in my life.
So the strange voice we keep hearing, who could it be?
Who could it be?
Oh, is that my turn?
Now
I
it's
am the
your turn.
ghost
No,
of
no.
cosplay's past.
I was
Oh,
waiting for
no.
someone to jump in and give you a lovely introduction, but I think that was me. So you may have heard Kame on our podcast before. She is here again because we are talking about, we thought it would be kind of fun to talk about the crazy kind of cosplay dreams we get, especially before conventions.
So, like, what happened was that someone in the Facebook group posted this hilarious story about, like, a dream they had where I was telling people was having people use contact cement to block out their eyebrows for makeup tutorials.
Oh, jeez.
So that's what started this. And I was like, let's do an episode on weird dreams. So, yeah.
I love it.
Hashtag
Great.
save the eyebrows. Yeah.
Don't do that, guys. Don't do that. I would never seriously tell you to do that. I think it's funny, but don't do that.
So, Kame, why don't you tell us a little bit about what got you into, I guess, dreams and how to interpret them?
Okay, yeah, I have been analyzing dreams for, like half my life. And part of the reason I got into it was actually because I have some recurring nightmares or recurring stress dreams, or at least recurring themes. And I started being like, if I keep dreaming that I'm running and I can't stop, I feel like that has to mean something. And so I started looking it up, and it was a really nice way to like cope with the fact that my brain was doing all these crazy things, and then also kind of understand what, I don't want to say what it was trying to tell me, but what my brain was trying to puzzle out while I was asleep. And so it was kind of like a good way for waking Kame to help sleeping Kame, and vice versa. And just kind of, it almost helps you take like a temperature of your whole mental state. Sometimes we were like, oh, I guess I am stressed out about that. So that's kind of when it started. And then because I did it so much for myself and for my family, my friends started posting on Facebook and being like, I just dreamt this. What do you think it means? And I would watch people say what they thought it meant, and I would disagree. And so I would hop in, and I would be like, not necessarily, because one of the biggest things, and one of the first things I learned is if you go through symbolism, like if you Google, what does a tiger mean, in a dream, it's going to be different for every person. Like if you Google what do snakes mean, but you have a pet snake and it's your favorite thing in the world, that interpretation of snakes as like bad luck or lies in your like professional life, that's not going to mean the same thing for you because you have a danger noodle and you love it. Mm-hmm. So it's very, I know it's a nope rope. That's one of the reasons that I started being a little more aggressive and helping people, because when you just crack open a dream book and start applying that basic stuff to your experiences, you might give yourself the wrong idea. And you won't actually get any help from it. And it can actually be pretty helpful in my opinion. So that's kind of how I got started.
Well, nice. Can't like the envisioning of a tiger be like a huge cultural difference? Like snakes with Christianity and Catholicism, oh, it's snake, the devil and whatnot. Whereas like it could mean something entirely different to a different culture or people who are raised up without some sort of Christian beliefs or anything along those lines, right?
Absolutely. Like one of the prime examples of that is the color red. A lot of times people will say, oh, if you dream of the color red, you're worrying about an injury, or you're dreaming that somebody's angry or passionate about you. But in some cultures, red means good fortune. In some cultures, it means like anticipation of something like a wedding. And so it completely depends on what red means to you. And how you would dream about red. So it's a very personal thing, interpreting dreams.
That's fascinating.
So I'm kind of curious, like, do you remember a lot of your dreams?
Yes, mainly the stressful ones, but that's kind of how it tends to be. Whenever you dream a good dream, you don't keep on to it that long. Not fair.
That's why you keep a dream journal, and like you immediately wake up and go, oh my gosh, that was such a good dream. This is going to make an amazing story idea. And then you start writing it down and you're like, what was I smoking last night?
Yeah, and you go back and read it and you're like, that's not going to be a bestseller, is it?
Yeah, no. But it's like, I have good feelings.
Yeah. Yep. No, like I tend to remember. So here's another cool thing about dreams. You tend to wake up from your dreams if for some reason you are jarred very quickly out of a very deep sleep. And so the reason you tend to remember your bad dreams or your stressful dreams more vividly is because your heart's racing. You're usually trying to scream or shout. And so you are jarred out of REM sleep. And so you remember them vividly. Whereas when you're having a good dream, usually you're either lightly coming out of it or someone has woken you up out of it, or an alarm clock has. So that's a thing. So if you are having a bad dream, you'll remember it because you're scared, and you usually wake yourself up because you can't scream or you can't breathe, or your heart rate's just real fast.
Or you're just about to hit the ground after falling off a cliff.
Yep.
So for those of us that maybe have a struggle to remember dreams, is there any tricks to helping you remember them better?
Absolutely. Other than being very stressed out, I would not recommend that one. Mercedes did touch on a good one, which is the dream journal. I would recommend, if you are trying to dream journal when you get up, instead of writing it down like as a story so that, you know, you can tell it to someone, jot down the most vivid, important feelings, ideas, pictures, because you'll be able to put those back together into story format later, but you are about to lose that dream, you know, like right at the end. So basically, as if you are taking the fastest, like stenographer style notes, just get the pictures on the page. And then later you can go in and make it prettier, but that will help you have kind of like jumping off points to remember. Like, I'll always remember, wow, this just came into my memory. Okay, so I had a dream. I had a dream once, and it was an action movie, and I don't remember anything else about it except for what I wrote down, which was Vin Diesel driving a baby blue PT Cruiser.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
And I have remembered that for 12 years because I wrote that down. So write down strings of images and you won't lose them. And they will kind of like, if I write that down, that conjures an image. The image is in my brain now. I'm not trying to remember what that looked like. I know what that looks like now. So write it down, and don't write it down for anyone but yourself. Don't try and be fancy. Just write it.
Come back to my dream journal, and it's like cats poking and I don't know. I'm just kidding. I'm just making up stuff. Like, it's just like, what is this? But
yes,
no,
I am, Mercedes.
that's
Yes,
actually
I
a really
am.
great idea.
So we wanted to kind of touch on like a few common themes that we see, especially with cosplayers, before we go into the dreams that people sent in and some of ours. So I would say one of the most common is when people tell me they've had stress dreams, that they were at the convention and getting ready to compete in the contest and they were completely unprepared. How would you, I mean, aside from the obvious of feeling unprepared.
Sorry, I was writing it down so that
okay.
No, you're good. I was like writing notes. Yeah, no, that's a really common stress dream, and not just because it's also a common scenario. You will have stress dreams about the exact scenario that you are worried about. And so if you are worried that you will not be ready for a cosplay contest, you're going to have a nightmare that you are not ready for a cosplay contest. But there are a lot of other things that it can mean. It could definitely stand for that you think you're not emotionally ready for the pressure. It depends on a lot of things that would surround it as well. Like, are you afraid you're going to let people down? Are they the ones who are noticing you're not ready? Are you the one deciding you're not ready, but people around you are calm? There's a lot of factors that can go into it. But I think the biggest reason that cosplayers will have it, there's two. Either you're really, really stressed and you're dreaming about the exact scenario that you're pretty sure is going to happen, or things are going too smoothly. You're too calm. You're too ready. Mm-hmm. And you don't feel, the fact that you aren't stressed makes you feel overly secure, and your brain is not used to that, or is overcompensating for it, or it feels like you need to be more stressed.
Your subconscious brain's like, we should be panicking right now.
Exactly, though. It's like, this is too good to be true.
Yeah. No, it's funny you mentioned that, because I don't usually get them like right before a con. I will get them like 3 months out when I have nothing to be worried about. And I will have a dream of showing up at whatever convention with a costume that's only half on, you know?
And it's because you feel fine, and how dare you? Same thing for me, though. Like, the amount of stress dreams I have about World Cosplay Summit, like a year before I'm trying for it versus like a few months before it's supposed to happen. I have way more dreams that I'm just showing up and I have no costume like you know, a year in advance, because I'm too calm. I should be more stressed out, and I'm not. And the thing is, your brain loves to chew on problems, especially at night. Mm-hmm. And so you're not giving it anything. It feels like, hey, you should give me something to do, because you're going to be panicking about this later. So I guess it's just trying to kickstart you. I don't know.
It's like, I'll just panic about it now.
Brain's like, let's get it out of the way. Huh?
So I got a question. I have never, ever, ever had the dream where you show up at school and you're in your underwear. Until I started cosplay, and I would show up at a cosplay contest in my underwear. And I'm like trying to hide and find all my costume pieces at the convention. Completely ridiculous. Never would happen in reality. I would have at least some other clothes. Why does this happen?
Oh, I have an answer right away for you,
I'm
actually.
excited.
The
I have
underwear
this one
dream.
a lot, and it's super weird to me because I'm like, I never had the school one.
The underwear dream is a vulnerability dream. So it means that you are putting a part of yourself out there for people to stare at that is not something that you would normally give to a discerning gaze. And so if you show up at a cosplay contest and you have a dream that you're not wearing anything and you're supposed to stand there on stage while everybody stares at you, it really means that you are putting a part of yourself out there, either with the costume or the performance, and you're worried about what people are going to think of it. Are they all going to laugh at you? Are they all going to like look at you in confused disgust? Or are they not going to notice that you're not wearing anything? Because a lot of times you'll be in your underwear and you're the only person who realizes you're in your underwear and everyone else is treating you normal. That just means that you are feeling very emotionally open and vulnerable about whatever you're about to do. And then what people do in your dream in reaction to your naked is about what you're worried about the perception being. So how you feel is about how you are dealing with the vulnerability, and how people in your dream act is how you're worried about being perceived.
Interesting. Luckily in my dreams, I've managed to not have anybody notice me yet. I'm always real good at hiding.
Good. That means that
the
you
next
play
time that
confident.
happens, I'm gonna watch how people are reacting to my nakedness. Gonna be like, what's going on? No, that's actually really fascinating because, like, that makes sense. Because in school, like even college and high school and all that stuff, like, I never put myself out there with any of my classes. I was the shy person that was just like, no, not doing anything. No one cared. My sister had more drama in her high school in One Pinky than I did my whole 4 years. So,
and cosplay is something that makes a lot of people who would normally not have a chance to experience like stage fright or anything like that. It makes you do that. So if you were never a drama kid, but now you're a cosplayer, you get to go through all of that, realizing how nerve-wracking it can be for the first time. And so that kind of stress stream makes absolute perfect sense to me for any cosplayer, especially one who's about to go on stage to have.
Yeah.
I've had it both in real life and outside of real life, because one of my cosplay horror stories involves a costume falling off of me on stage, but that's for another conversation.
Oh no.
I think we've had that conversation.
We have had that conversation.
So one that I have a lot, and I assume it's because of cosplay and just all the media I consume in general, but I dream that I'm a different person, that I'm like the character that I'm going to be cosplaying, and people are interacting with me as if I'm that character.
I love those dreams.
Yep, I also. I don't have them as often as I wish, because those are the fun ones.
For real.
Depending on the character you are.
Oh, true.
Those can be fun. But yes, I would go ahead and say, and it depends on the details that you're experiencing in that dream, but absolutely, I think it is trying to give you a pleasant dream for that escapism factor. Dreams let you explore things that, like, you know, you can fly in a dream. You can hold your breath underwater in a dream. Mm-hmm. And so it lets you explore things that you could not necessarily live in real life. And I think that can extend to things like a character that you really like. But the reason that your dreams let you do those things is so that you can explore and learn things about yourself through that mechanism. And so I think that that's the same thing. Like if you're dreaming that you're a certain character, I wouldn't say that the character that is picked is necessarily important because it all depends on what you fell asleep watching. But what you're doing as that character, like what would, I don't know, Wei Wuxian be able to do that Panin couldn't do? You know, like what is it that that people are reacting to you about? So, for example, the only one that I can really give is whenever I am dreaming that I am a gorgeous character and people are reacting to me like I am just like, you know, one of these anime characters that just walked off screen and was like heavenly. That's something I've never experienced and most humans won't. And so it's my brain giving me that sensation either because I really want it. It could be an expression of like, I really wish that was the case, or it could be something to show me like how much or how little appearances can matter. It can mean a lot of things to you. So I would say pay attention to what you're able to do as that character in the dream. And it'll kind of give you an idea of what it is you either want or are trying to explore by changing that identity.
That's cool.
Taking that into mind.
Yeah.
Gosh dang, I really, really wish I could just be a shapeshifter and shapeshift between male and female and whatever I wanted to be in between. Oh,
I think that's more gender feels than dream feels, but they could be related.
I mean, it was in the dream, like, whenever I have dreams where I'm the character, is like, is that I can turn back into being me.
90% of the time I'm dreaming that I'm a character I crossplay as. So it's kind of, I guess it's like what you said, it's an experience I haven't had. So it's interesting.
There's something that either you want to explore or there's a problem you feel like that character can fix or help you fix.
I doubt it. They're all a mess.
Nah.
I like it when I'm Link in dreams because then I get to go beat up stuff and it's awesome.
Nice. So I would say another common one, at least with cosplayers, we talked about being unprepared, but just like being in a contest in general or a competition, would you say that has a specific meaning, especially with cosplayers?
So that's actually a great point because that's one of the things that you'll see on a website and it'll say like dreaming about a contest means. And for cosplayers, that interpretation from the website might mean absolutely nothing because they are preparing for a competition. And so when
this
you
is
see
a literal thing,
like this is literally what you're dreaming about. So if you dream about a competition out of nowhere, like if like, for example, we haven't had a con for a year. And so if you dream about just a random one out of nowhere that you're not preparing for one, then it could mean, you know, that you're being measured. It could mean that you're afraid of not measuring up to something, or you're excited to present a face that will let you measure up to something. But most often what contests mean to cosplayers is that you're preparing or nervous for a contest.
I don't like being branded so accurately.
What's the thing, Occam's razor, where it's the simplest explanation is probably the right one?
Yeah.
Yep. Sometimes a dream is just a dream. And it means what it means, or it means nothing at all. But definitely, if you're a cosplayer who's out of practice and you dream about a competition, I would recommend kind of the same thing that I told Panin about. Like, you notice that you're, you know, being a different character. What is it about the competition? Like, are you suddenly supposed to be in this competition and you didn't realize it? Like, you didn't realize that you were even going to a con and now you're on stage? Because that'll tell you a completely different story than if you know, are competing with a costume, but you know you've already won in it and you're afraid you're going to get in trouble, but it was all you had. You know, like there's so many nuances to what it will mean to be in that contest because contests are a normal part of cosplay life.
So, Kame, you've talked a lot about how like going with an internet translation is probably not going to give you the best interpretation of these dreams. Is there like a reference people can go to that would be better, or talking to their friends, or like what would you suggest for helping people find out what they think it means?
Oh, that is a good question. So I think that the resources available online are a good jumping off point in some cases. So it's not a bad idea to look at them, but if you're reading through and they don't fit, then they don't fit. Don't make them fit.
I can throw an example of that out there.
Yeah.
So I have very many teeth dreams.
Oh, me too.
With my teeth, they'll crumble, they'll fall apart,
Me
they'll
too,
fall out.
Mercedes.
I'm suddenly eating teeth, all those things. I hate it. And when I look up online what that means, it usually comes up, oh, it means you're worried about money. And I'm like, but, I mean, not more than I normally am.
But...
You know, I'm like, and what does that have to do with teeth? But what I've come to realize is that, one, losing teeth was a big deal for me as a kid. And it's just kind of stuck around. I also am low-key afraid of losing any of my permanent adult teeth.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, that is, you know, a low-key fear that I am aware that I have, as well as these dreams tend to happen when I'm stressed.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think the teeth is just my anxiety manifesting in my teeth falling apart. I used to be able to get myself out of these dreams. I'd be like, Mercedes, teeth don't just crumble when you touch them. And I'd be like, oh yeah, no, I still have my teeth. I'm fine. My brain has gotten around that and is now convinced me in my dreams that teeth do crumble.
Oh no.
Are you ready for some analyzing that might help you?
I'm down for this. Do it.
So, teeth dreams are a very common anxiety dream. I used to have them. I still do sometimes, especially dreams, like you mentioned, where my permanent adult teeth are falling out, often without me realizing it. Now, permanent adult teeth are things you cannot get back. Depending on how you lose that tooth, it is giving you an idea of what you're worried about. Did you not notice it was falling out until it was too late? That means that without you even paying attention, something very important to you that you can't get back feels like you're losing it. Did you make a mistake, like you bit down on something and suddenly your tooth is broken or your teeth are crumbling? It makes you feel like something that you thought was a permanent fixture in your life is actually fallible and breakable. And so it's all about what is making you nervous, what is making you insecure. But the key is you feel like there's no going back from whatever you're stressed about.
Okay.
And so
that's hitting home real hard.
So
oh my gosh.
That's something that might be able to help you next time you have that dream, because you can look at your life and be like, okay, why do I think there's no going back? Because from most things, there is going back. Now, I will say my mom, my wonderful, traumatizing mom, I love her. She used to tell me that you'll get a tooth dream whenever someone's about to die.
Oh, no.
And she was joking-ish, but looking back on it now, I think she kind of meant it's a grief dream. Like you're about to lose someone and you're not going to get them back.
Okay.
But I used to, every time I would wake up and be like, I had a dream that I lost all my teeth. She'd be like, oh, that means someone's about to die. And I'd be like, thanks, Mom, my teeth. So that's a good example because it really depends on the person. Now, one thing that I will say there that takes a lot, back to what Panna was saying about like resources, is it helps to have jumping off points, but I would use a lot of different sites and a lot of different books. Like you have to really want to look into it if you want to, because everyone will have a different opinion, different cultures, websites will have different opinions. And then it takes a lot of self-thought. So not just thinking, so for example, here, I'm just going to pull one out of the air. Say I dreamt about losing my wallet and this wallet had, my entire savings in it and I lost it. I'm like, okay, what would that mean to me? What feelings would that bring about in me? Because then a lot of times it'll be like, oh, dreaming that you're about to lose money can mean XYZ. But to me, it would mean that I feel like an idiot for losing something that important. So it might be more of a dream about my own carelessness than about money. And so you take the symbolism from your dream, you can use these websites as a guideline, and then what you know about yourself to kind of put together the story, and then absolutely talking to friends, especially if you have a particularly insightful friend who knows you well. You can go to them and say, hey, I think this is what it means. Do you have any feedback for me? That's a good way to kind of get to the bottom of it, especially if you need an outside perspective, because a lot of times you don't realize what your own insecurities are until somebody else tells you. Cough. So
what? That's crazy.
And so to summarize, Pan, I would say use the resources, but don't use them like they are a science. Use them like they are a vague guide. Use multiple resources. Think for yourself about what it might mean to you, and then talk to your trusted friends.
I like that. So I wanted to leave a lot of time at the end of our episode because we had so many people send in dreams that they had, and I thought we could kind of go over them and talk about them. Mercedes, did you want to read the one that kind of like knocked this idea out?
Yeah.
I didn't words that well. That turned the light bulb on in your brain about making this episode.
Yeah, let me go grab that one. So the one that kicked this off was Nina. She said, this is kind of weird, but last night I dreamt I was at a con and V-Fire was teaching me and a few others how to block your eyebrows. Off of that, I laugh at that because, like, I don't make up. I don't. But yeah, so we spray this goo all over our brows, trusting it to be a safe substance, but when I asked what it was, she grinned and told us it was contact cement. So I'm, like, worried what this says about me. But, like, I don't know.
She thinks you are going to betray her.
Oh, no!
I want to know what kind of grin it was, because that will tell us so much. I can give you my analysis if you'd like.
Yeah.
Down for this.
So I would say that was a dream. That now a lot of it depends on the poster. So if it were a dream I was having, that would be an insecurity dream about how easily I trust somebody who I really like.
Oh, no.
And because I'm kind of like that. If I like somebody, I jump in like 100% cannonball into the pool of that friendship, and I don't check for alligators. Or crocodiles or whatever would be in a pool. I don't know. Sharks. And so
in a pool
that
of
would
piranhas.
So that would be what I would be thinking that dream would be, is that I like this person so much I didn't even think about what they were telling me to do, and now I don't have eyebrows. And depending on the kind of grin you gave, it could be that she was like, wow, I trust you so much and I didn't stop to see if you knew what you were talking about. Or, wow, I trust and like you so much that I didn't realize you were going to pull this terrible prank on me. But I would say it's not a dream about whether you're trustworthy, Mercedes. It's a dream about how the dreamer feels about how they trust you. Like, they may be uncomfortable with how much they trust you, but they're not sure why. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So,
uh-oh. Guys, you can take everything I say with a grain of salt. It's okay. Especially if I'm grinning while handing you contact cement.
So we asked our listeners to send in some of their dreams that they were comfortable with us sharing, some with names attached and some without. So I'm just going to go through the list and we'll take turns reading them off and you can tell us your thoughts.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, so this one comes from Orbit. It says, had a nightmare a while back that I was at a con dressed as Dr. Evil, but I had hair. I kept trying to sneak away so I could shave my head, but people kept stopping me for photos. I was freaking out internally as I continued through hallways and did my best to be polite and not show my anguish. Woke up semi-panicked from it and had to calm myself down, realizing it was just a dream.
Okay, that's funny because, like, Orbit's super bald. And you think, you know, someone with a dream where they have hair and they're super bald would be like, oh, hey, but I love this one. I love this.
In a cosplay case, no.
Yeah, it's like, because he's not Dr. Evil now.
So, that one actually was, so I did read through a few of these, before the recording. That one was one of my favorite ones because it was a dream to me about perception. And it's all about how the person is perceived and how they want to be perceived. It didn't matter to them what the people thought of them. What mattered was that people were perceiving what they wanted them to perceive. So whether or not the reaction was positive or negative didn't matter to the dreamer. What mattered was that what was seen was what they intended. And so I thought that was really interesting. It's more important to that person for people to see what they are putting on as a front than like what they see. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I like it.
Cool.
Yes.
Mercedes, do you want to get or David, you haven't read one yet. Why don't you get the one from Howl Koss?
Yeah, definitely. Howl Koss writes, so one of my first cosplays was a mashup of Sailor Moon and Princess Leia, and while I was making the cosplay, I had this strange dream that I went to the con and there was a tuxedo mask Darth Vader. And we had this epic battle in the aisles at the con.
Oh, that's awesome.
That is fun. I love that. I love that image specifically.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a lot of fun reading that one. And the other reason I really liked this one is it was just, to me, a straight up excited dream. This is somebody who had an idea that was unique, that they were excited about, that they had put a lot of thought and emotional energy into making a combination of two fandoms that they liked. It was a gamble, it's something that they knew no one else had done, or they were not likely going to bump into somebody who had done this. And it was exciting, but they were hoping people would like it. And then in the dream, they meet somebody who is exactly as excited as they are. And then they have this really cool fight. And so I think, to me, it's them expressing a hope that this work that they are putting all this love into is going to be well received by people, and people will be as excited for it as they were making it once they finally show it to the world. So I think it was a very hopeful and excited dream, and the outcome was good. So they weren't necessarily worried it would be ill received. They were excited for fans to receive it.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Yes, Shining Sakura says, a bit of a long one, but it stuck with me. And it's quite vivid. Had a dream recently that I was getting out of the car when I suddenly got swarmed with people wanting photos or wanting to talk to me. Confused at the crowd, I looked down and noticed I was wearing my Cardcaptor Sakura kimono cosplay, so I figured it was about that, and I was at a convention parking lot. Friends were also eager to talk to me about my outfit as well. Excited as I was, I felt embarrassed that people wanted photos of me half-dressed with only the base kimono, and Juban on with a tie holding things together. I didn't have the obi, the hakama, no shoes. People are asking for photos or persistent since they kept missing me at previous conventions, so I told them, please wait while I got the rest of my outfit on. They didn't want to lose me in the crowd, so they followed me into the building as I went towards the restrooms to finish getting the rest on. And suddenly I looked in the mirror and saw I was in a different outfit. I proceeded to finish dressing in this alternate outfit instead, because why not? Dream logic. I get out there and no one's there. When I get back to the car with this other outfit on, everyone who was there waiting for me scattered like cockroaches. I noticed I had some traveling wardrobe in the car and kept trying on different cosplays, but to no avail. No one wanted to look at me, so I went for broke and put on the Sakura one. Put the Sakura cosplay back on. There were parts that were missing that I swear I just had in my hand, but they would suddenly disappear, so I couldn't wear it. Oh. I felt pretty sad when I woke up that people only cared about my Sakura cosplay and nothing else. It was kind of weird. I was going to say, based on like what you'd said before, like with the half cosplay on and like people's reactions, that kind of goes along the lines of that.
Absolutely. There's definitely a sense of perception. And I do want to hit on the idea that so many dreams are about perception and being perceived, being seen, as one might say in today's vernacular, because so much of what cosplay does is takes us from a place where we feel not seen or where we deliberately keep ourselves hidden to being underneath many, many different gazes. And so it is not surprising to me that so many cosplay dreams have to do with perception and how we feel about however we control it or however it's given to us. So I definitely think that's interesting as I adjust my monocle. So for this particular dream, first of all, relatable, very relatable. I think it's okay. I'm gonna order my thoughts.
I think the part that like stood out to me the most, and I guess had the most impact when I was listening, was that the costume she was unprepared with, people were swarming that one, but as soon as she had this thing that she wanted to wear, that she wanted to show people, nobody wanted to see it.
Exactly. And I think what it comes down to for me is, rather than putting on costumes in these dreams, she was putting on the feeling of what she was putting on how it had felt to her to wear those costumes. So when she wore Sakura, she got a lot of attention. No matter how it was presented, Sakura was getting attention. And it had gotten to the point where she kind of knew how to deal with receiving all of that attention. And when she changed into her other outfit, not only did people not pay attention to her, but they actively avoided her. And I thought that was key, in that she felt like $1 million and she felt very important, and people remembered her from other cons and people wanted to talk to her when she was this popular character that she'd already cosplayed once. And then when she tried something new, the reaction was so different from that wonderful feeling the first time she wore Sakura that it felt actively aggressive. It felt like she was not worth anything other than that character. And I think the biggest part of the dream to me was at the end, when she tries to put the Sakura costume back on and doesn't have the pieces. She's trying to put that feeling back together that she had the first time she wore Sakura, but she couldn't, because she didn't have the pieces. You can't always relive that first wonderful feeling. And I honestly, in my opinion, think that that's what this is about. It's the feeling of disappointment, realizing that a situation wasn't giving you the validation that you thought it was, and trying to chase a feeling that is fleeting, that is gone.
That is crazy relatable.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we've all known someone or had a costume that made you feel like the coolest person on earth, but it was from a really popular fandom. And then you have a costume that you put a lot more work into, but it's really niche and people don't get as excited and you're bummed out. But then you try to jump back into the ones that made you feel super great at first. And it's more like, it's kind of that thing where it's almost like an artist or like a band trying something new and the fans hate it. So they just kind of go back to what they were doing because they don't want to lose the love and attention that they were getting, but they wish they could step out and try new things and still be appreciated for that. That's what I think this is it's more about how people giving that attention makes you feel, and how once it's changed, once you know what it's for, the way you accept it will change. You'll never feel as happy to take it back when you know that you can only have it one way.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
We have one from Saturn that says, I have a recurring dream where I'm trying to navigate a con, but always seem to get lost in the labyrinth of hallways. And sometimes the labyrinth of hallways consists of water slides, which I have to navigate in full cosplay makeup.
I want to do that.
Okay. I was so psyched about this one. Because,
oh, really?
Oh yeah, no, because this is what got me into analyzing dreams, is motion and locomotion. They are very, very, very important. Can you hear me smacking my chest about it? Like in dreams, movement and how you're moving from point A to point B, so important. And that's what my reoccurring nightmares were, is I was always in a car and the brakes weren't working, or the brakes were working really badly, or the car was out of control, or the bike was out of control, or my legs were out of control and I couldn't stop. And so that was my reoccurring nightmare. And I was like, what does this mean? And it means kind of what it says. The way that you are moving through a space in your dream they basically talk about how you feel in life, how you feel in your body navigating, and how the world feels against you. So if you are stuck in a maze, in a labyrinth, you feel trapped. You feel trapped and you feel confused and you feel like there's a way out and you just don't know it. That's the biggest key. That's what makes it different from like a cage or a locked room. You're in a labyrinth and you know that there's a way to get out, but you haven't figured it out yet. And so you feel stuck and you feel trapped and maybe a little frustrated that there are rules to navigating this and you just don't have the resources yet to help you get through it, which for a con, for the cosplay world in general, for any social event, if you're a nervous person and you have social anxiety, that rings really true. Now, the one that resonated with me was everything turning into water slides, because that's the kind of dream I have. And it means that you don't think you have control. You all you can do is throw yourself in a direction and hope it takes you where you want to go. The only power you have is guiding your force. But you feel when you have a dream like this where you cannot control the movement that you are making, or you can only control the direction, it means that you feel like your life is not in your control or the situation is not in your control. And it varies. So if you are able to, pick a slide, that means you have some control. You can pick what fire to jump into. But, you still don't feel like it's total control. And I'll always remember the first time I had a dream where I was driving a car and the brakes worked. And I was like, all right. I was about to rob a bank, but the car worked. So that was a really fun dream because it's one that I bet a lot of people have in some way or another, where if the labyrinth or the hallways suddenly becomes a slide and you feel like you can't even keep your feet underneath you, it just means that whatever situation you feel like you're going into, it's an unknown and you have no power over what is about to happen.
Gotcha.
And it's your choice whether or not you're going to jump into that or not.
Okay, we got a couple more. These ones were emailed to us. David, did you want to take a second, get into the email so you can read?
Yeah, I've got it. I've actually got it open, ready to go.
Okay.
So in the first email that we have, this is from someone who wished to remain anonymous. In real life, I was working on a Chun-Li and had 2 weeks to a month until the contest. A lot of named people in the stream I had not yet met formally, or still haven't met. And only got the names to attach to the other people after I competed with Chun-Li. In my dream, I was attending a convention, and I had 2 goals: meet with the vendor friends and compete in the cosplay contest. The convention hall felt like one huge building, but it was set up with 2 stages, ballrooms on either end of the huge courtyard. The edges of the courtyard had convention center concessions built in and had a wide doorways to get into the ballrooms, which is perfect dream so far. The courtyard was filled with big white tents you see at food or music fairs, basically covering the entire courtyard, with serpentine lines built into and between the vendors' booths and filled the courtyard. So on each end, the ballrooms and stages, and in between, a huge tented vendor hall the size of both ballrooms. As I was trying to find my vendor friends, I kept getting lost, and I kept getting notifications about my prejudging. For prejudging, I had to find the 3 judges in the vendor hall, bring them together, and present my costume. Give me a moment. I'm just going to make a quick note for Cosplay Chronicles here real quick. I was unhappy with my unfinished Chun-Li costume and thought that I might have a better chance with an original fairy design. By the time I found the first judge, generic white guy, again, taking that note, my costume had changed to fairy costume with Chun-Li wings. I couldn't explain how it was made because dream logic dictated I had made it, but not give the specifics of how. So dragging along the judge, we scoured the vendors hall until we found the 2 other judges, Yaya Han and Panin.
With generic white guy.
Nice.
They all barely glanced at my costume and told me that they would see me on stage in 15 minutes. So I rushed off to the stage, and that was on the program, and was told that the contest had been moved to the other stage. So With half the time originally given, I rush off to the other stage, being forced to follow the crowd and lines in some instances. I finally saw my vendor friends, but we were separated by a group of people. They told me good luck and that we might just have to meet after the contest. So I kept going to the stage. I got there in time to check in with Garnet Runestar. I woke up before going into the green room. Did I perform well? Did I go to see my friends? These questions will never be answered unless you consider how I actually performed with Chun-Li, which was an overall great experience.
Aww.
I think the first thing that pops out to me on this is there seems to be a struggle finding balance between cosplay and non-cosplay things in the dream. And that is something that I think a lot of us have experienced where we're like, I'm going to go to a con and I'm going to do the cosplay contest and panels and read an artist alley table. We don't... This is not recommended.
That never happens.
Pick one and do one at the con, unless it's a home con and you have no choice.
Do it this way, unless.
I mean, yeah. And so that definitely, the vibe to me is there's a sense of separation, but in this way that there was a plan, and the reason the plan couldn't come together as expected was because cosplay took a lot more out of the dreamer than they had anticipated. It took a lot more of their energy. Plans changed a lot. They had to go search Where's Waldo for their judges. Like it was hard to balance between their friends who were not part of the cosplay section of this world and then the cosplay contest. And one of the other big things for me is how hard it was to navigate this weird, strange, in-between space, which literally is an in-between space, but in that nerdy world of like, I am just a normal nerd who like to go to do the nerdy things at the con, but now I'm deciding to also add cosplay to that mix. And how do I inhabit the space I'm used to in the vendors hall and the cosplay space? And so they're in a very twisty, turny middle ground that they don't know if they like, and they don't know how to navigate. And I get that, because I've done artist alley and photography and cosplay, and a lot of times I don't know which one of those things I am.
That's fair.
and as you try to feel it out, you can feel weird. You can feel like you're giving one more attention than the others. And I honestly think that this dreamer was feeling that they were giving a lot more attention to cosplay than the other part of their middle ground, and that it may not have. There was a fear and an anticipation that all of this extra energy might not be appreciated or worth it. So they were part of this confusing middle ground identity where, are you a generic con-goer nerd vendors hall person? Are you a cosplay contestant? And all of the extra work you had to do, finding the judges, changing your costume, getting to the pre-judging, getting to the contest, was a lot of... You basically... When you look for the judges and they give you a quick up and down and then tell you to be on stage, makes you feel kind of bad for ignoring your friends all day for that moment,
Oh,
and
totally.
so it's very much a sense of, will this all be worth it at the end of the day? Gotcha. Now, the fact that the dream didn't tell us, means that they aren't sure yet. When at the point of having the dream, they didn't know if it was going to be worth it, but they were definitely worried that it wasn't going to be, or that it wasn't being. So yeah, definitely takeaway is identity within the nerd sphere. Are you a cosplayer? Are you a vendor? Are you an artist? Are you a photographer? Are you are you security at the con and used to working it? How do you inhabit more than one role and adjust to that? And just that feeling of nerd-dentity. And then hashtag nerdentity. So that plus is this new scary thing that I'm trying, and the way people are perceiving me through it, like the judges, is it going to be worth it in the end, or should I just stay with what I feel safe and comfortable with? So gotcha. Yeah, that's what I had interpret that dream as.
So we have one more, and David and Mercedes, did you guys want to think of maybe one that you've had while I'm reading this one?
Oh yeah,
I wanted to read this one.
Oh, you want to read this one? Okay.
I already shared a couple that I've had anyways, so.
Okay.
You guys ready for this?
Yeah.
Trigger warnings. Crime scenes, blood, bodies, so much, all that stuff, not described in detail, thankfully. So, V-Fire and I were headed to a convention to compete together. I don't know what our group was going to be, but we were prepared. The convention we were attending was held in 2 buildings and a park. The park was a narrow rectangle with tons of great spots for photography, and so people were set up so that multiple photo shoots could happen at one time, with the background easily blurred out of focus. The 2 buildings were at the top of the park. Between the 2 buildings was a fire lane driveway extending out into a parking lot. We were in line for the dark brown top right building to register and get signed up for the cosplay contest. Some cosplayer had gone all out and dressed up a murder scene in the park, complete with realistic claws and wounds and blood that you could expect from a Wolverine-like attack. While it seemed cool, we didn't want to give up our spot in line. The line kept moving, and people were still doing photo ops with the murder scene, even after yellow police tape was put up around it. V-Fire and I were about 20 feet in line from the building entrance when some police officers came up and asked if I could come with them. They said they wouldn't need me for too long, and that I wasn't in trouble. We shrugged, and I went with the police. So this dream was actually told to me after this person had it.
Oh, wow.
And they were like, so I gotta play detective. They showed me 2 additional murders. Surprise, not horror cosplay, just legit murders. In the driveway and walkways leading to the top building. They asked me if I had any idea who had done this. I had an image flash of a Logan Wolverine cosplayer, distinctive because he had built the claws to come out 2 inches further by exposed springs on top of the hands. Very much not how they work. And I remember being irked by that detail.
Oh my goodness.
I told the police I thought I knew who did it, and that I needed to check on something. And I ran to V-Fire, who was just getting inside the brown building. I told her, go on without me! Everything is gonna be fine. I ran further down the line, trying to find that Wolverine cosplayer, and failing, ran back up to the white building to the police. I told them, we're looking for a Wolverine cosplayer with spring claws, and they wouldn't be bloody. Because they probably cleaned them. They asked why, and the Wolverine cosplayer stepped out of the shadows, a mouth opening way too wide on his changing body. He tossed up the prop claws in favor of using his own blood-stained claws as he finished transforming into a dark dragon-like demon without wings. Still wearing the wife-beater and jeans Logan is known for in film. The demon bemoaned his plan of killing at a convention being foiled so quickly. He turned to me, asking me how I knew it was a demon so quickly. I fell into a fighting defensive stance and shrugged. I just know stuff. I wasn't too facing down a demon. I just hope that V-Fire is handling the contest all right without me. I woke up. Did I defeat the demon? No idea. I like to think I did. And this one is okay to give credit to X-Angel Design. Oh, I was laughing over that. I was like, dude, next time take me with you.
Well, so I didn't get to read this one through more than once, but I did put one very clear note on it. And it was the note that I brought up right at the beginning, where sometimes a cool dream is just a cool dream. And so with this follows what a lot of remember my Vin Diesel in the baby blue PT Cruiser dream? The fact that it was Vin Diesel, the fact that it was a baby blue PT Cruiser meant nothing. It was just a cool dream. Sometimes those are the ones that you remember. I don't think that all of the stream meant nothing. Absolutely not. But a lot of the stuff that made us laugh, a lot of the stuff that was super interesting and engaging about it, your brain was telling you a story. Bet you just watched a Wolverine movie or taken in some Wolverine-like media, and your brain told you a cool story. Especially with the demon transformation. I mean, it could be something else, but I would have to know your personal relation to Logan. To figure that out. And so I think that this is very much an example of you had a cool dream, with the exception of 2 things I did notice. One is very serious. We'll go with the super serious one first. I would be interested to know at what time in our world this happened. Because the fear of something very big and violent happening in a public space that's supposed to be safe and going unnoticed by the majority of the people around, that could mean a lot.
It was a few weeks ago.
2 weeks ago?
A few weeks ago.
A few weeks ago.
Yeah.
So that is definitely something that could be said, that could be pointed to, depending on the dreamer, about how safe one feels or doesn't feel in the spaces that they used to feel safe in, and also how desensitized to certain things we as a people have become. And so the idea that maybe earlier in our times, we wouldn't have not thought that was just a cosplay thing. We would have maybe, freaked out about it, but we've seen so much at this point that we thought, we were desensitized. So that's something that could, like I said, depends on the dreamer. I have actually had similar dreams, and I know that was my worry, was that something like this happened actually at a con in my dream, and nobody noticed because it was a con, and they assumed it was a game, and it was a comment on my own insecurity in those large spaces. Like, I didn't feel safe amongst the people that used to be, my people.
Nice.
And so that's the serious part of this. I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this. Regarding the dreamer, if I were to characterize this dreamer based only on this dream, I would say they are a very confident individual, who thinks that, or rather who knows what they know about very well and are confident in their ability to explain it to other people and to be taken as an authority, because of just how authority figures came to them for assistance and they didn't question it at all. And so this is a very confident person who sees themselves as an authority in some way, maybe not in, criminal justice, but they're used to being sought out as an authority figure, possibly a parent even. They might be a parent because they're used to being, hey, cool.
Hey, check that
look
out.
at that. Where do we
get a cookie?
I need my clickbait, like psychic predicts, blah, blah, blah. Like
Title of the episode.
Oh my goodness.
But so there's somebody who is used to being authoritarian and being, because I said so, that's why. So parent.
I just love, I know things.
I just know stuff. Like, but why, Mom? Because I graduated from mom school and all moms know this now. So it's like, it very much gave that vibe of somebody who isn't expecting to be questioned. And
gotcha.
it wasn't even like, there wasn't even a hint that any of these people were going to question the dreamer. Like, it was just obviously, yes, I'm here to help,
It's Demon Wolverine.
So yeah, so that's what I have to say on that one.
All right, David, did you want to go?
Yeah. So, all of my dreams that I've had have been, like, I don't have any cosplay specific dreams, but I have one about the podcast itself. There was one dream that I had, because I always have a stress dream before we do a live stream. Doesn't matter what it is. Every single, like, the night before, there's always a stress dream. Either it runs late or technology isn't working or something. But this one, like, really stands out to me. So for a while, I had to go into my office to do the live stream because the network and whatnot here at my house just wasn't working. So in this dream, I head over like an hour early, time for setup, time for game prep, time for everything. And it's on a Sunday, and 2 coworkers are there. And I'm really embarrassed because I forgot my mask. And they're like, it's no worries. It is what it is. And so I kind of set up for a few minutes, and then I was like, my ADD brain goes, hey, I should go talk to these people. So I start talking to them, and apparently Nintendo Switch in the stream had the like PlayStation Plus kind of thing, or the Xbox catalog, where you like they would give you like a free game every month. And my coworker at the time was very upset about this in the dream, and I have no idea why. She's like, I want my money back. I didn't want this game. I already have this game. And I was like, that's really narrow-minded of you. Like, it was really out of character for him. But the next thing I know, I'm now 30 minutes late to the live stream, and I don't have my phone on me. So all the messages of Pannon and Mercedes and Jazzy and Dustin going like, "Hey man, where are you? Like, is everything? Did you die?" Didn't know that I was receiving them until it was like, "Oh, it's 12:30. I'm half an hour late to this thing that I was supposed to do, and I'm not even done setting up yet. I didn't do any game prep." So I ran to my desk in just a fever and like slamming on the keyboard, and then like I got the blue screen of death, and that's when I woke up.
Oh,
no.
Oh.
Oh, man, that is, I'm taking notes. That's so relatable. I feel you, David, because that's the kind of dream I would have.
Thank you.
And you mentioned ADD kid, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
That makes so much sense for this dream and for me as well. And for my wife, my blessed, very squirrely wife, who I love. We are all ADD kids, and one of the things that happens in our ADD sphere is that realization of looking up and suddenly like 45 minutes have passed and you didn't realize it, and now things have to happen, and it's like literally a blip in the matrix. How did it happen?
Yeah.
And there's a panic that comes with that in real life. And so because you're so familiar with that feeling in real life,
Mm-hmm.
it basically took that terror, that ADD kid, like constant nervousness. It's a constant anxiety that you live with where you're like, am I going to zone out and like forget an important thing? But this is a very important thing because it's something that can't be rescheduled, that people are already about to sign into and watch. Like it's literally, it's the equivalent of missing a cosplay contest. It's not like they can start the contest over for you or, reschedule it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I definitely understand why it would cause a stress stream and why the stress stream would be about kind of forgetting yourself and not, speaking of ADD, my wife just walked into the room and I got super distracted. Anyway, so no, I definitely think that the main fear is that you, David, are going to put people out because of something that you aren't aware of until it's finished happening. And because of that, you can't plan for it. And you strike me as a planner. And so your dream, even starting with the fact that you didn't bring a mask, starts with the fact that you didn't plan. And so I think when you have these dreams, it might be because you're worried you didn't plan enough. And if you're a DM, that makes sense too.
I'm not here to be attacked, Kame. I'm just...
And so you're about to, not only are you about to go do something that can't be rescheduled, that people are going to watch, that other people are depending on you for because you're the DM, but your plan everything hinges on your plan and on your prep. And so I think this is your brain's way of saying, what if we didn't plan for this? What if we didn't plan for that? Something can always go wrong. You're an ADD kid. You probably forgot something. And I know that's not as insightful as I wished it was, but I definitely think that the key to take away from it is that you're a planner, and so you're poking holes in your own plan, and if you don't have any real holes to poke, you're just substituting yourself, and you're going, well, what if suddenly you have to drop everything and go into the office? Have you planned for that? And what if your coworker wants to talk about a game he didn't want, even though that makes no sense? Like, what if that happens? Are you ready for that? Do you have a plan? Have you set enough alarms? And so I think it's you beating yourself up for not planning for every single contingency that could go wrong.
Sure.
Gotcha.
No, that makes sense.
I had one I wanted to ask you about. Last one, I swear. Okay, so I had one where I was at a convention. This is after like pandemic stuff, so it was a little bit weird to be at a convention. And I had my mask on, but I was really annoyed because a bunch of other people did not. And it was mostly outdoors, and that's kind of how they were spacing things out. But as I'm walking around this convention, I see this giant, like 2-story tall Gundam. and it starts chasing me.
Oh no.
But very slowly. And so, like, I'm not super worried about it, but I definitely have it looming behind me. And I'm trying to find all of my friends so that we can do something about it. But it's really hard to with everybody having masks on. So, there you go.
Oh, goodness. Okay, I need a second. Okay. Okay. Oh my gosh. I do have ideas. It's just there's a lot in a very small package. I think one of the biggest things to consider overstimulated. One of the main things to consider in this is that the masks and the way the world has changed is influencing how you can gather your resources to tackle a threat. And so your resources are your friends, which you know are all here because this is a familiar space, but it's being presented in an unfamiliar way. And I think that's something that a lot of us can relate to, is the idea of the world we're going back into is changed. It's inexorably changed by what has happened these last, year. And so the way you would have gone about gathering your resources to tackle a giant threat is going to have to change because it's more difficult to do it now than how you would normally have done it. The fact that the Gundam...
Yeah.
Okay, I'm making a note, Pan, and I want to talk to you a little bit more after.
Wow. I'm getting in trouble for this one.
So the fact that the Gundam is moving slowly means that it is a threat that you are confident that you can deal with if you have the right resources. So rather than like a panic dream, it's this kind of like you think you know what you're going to do about this, but you're worried that your plan isn't going to work because things have changed. And if you can think of something big going on in your life that you're about to tackle, and you think you have support going into it, but you're not sure because things might have changed, that might resonate with you a little bit. But
well, now that we have gone over all of these dreams, I do have a cosplay horror story we can end on. Let's see.
Oh, before we do, can I tell a cool story? I had it in my notes. It's real quick.
Yes.
I meant to tell it right at the beginning, and then I didn't. So it's about the inventor of the sewing machine. Does anyone know about the dream he had?
No.
What?
Okay. So the inventor of the sewing machine was working on the sewing machine and could not get it to work. The main thing he couldn't figure out was how to get the thread to stay threaded in the needle while it went up and down. And that was what he was stuck on. The machine was almost done. He'd poured all this money into it, started having stress dreams. He had a stress dream where he was being chased by a bunch of this isn't like the Victorian era, so it was a super racist dream. Where he was being chased by natives and they were gonna stab him, and he turned around right as they were gonna stab him and the spears had a hole in the end. And when they stabbed him, he woke up and he was like, I need to put the hole in the end of the needle. And that's how that happened. So
wow.
Yeah. So I wanted to share
sewing
that.
is brought to us by stress dreams.
Yes,
no wonder. Oh my gosh. Wow. Well, Thank you very much, Kame. This has been a lot of fun.
I'm glad.
We have a horror story. This one's sent in from Sumikins, and it is on our Discord, so you can actually read a couple of these for yourself, but I'm going to read it for you on the air. The year was 2010, and I was still living at home with my parents. I was in crunchy time to prepare for WCS. We had only 6 weeks and had decided to make all new costumes, but that's another story. I was focusing most of my effort on my stage costume, leaving the simple parts of my tearaway until the last minute. My well-meaning mother decided she was going to help me, and without asking, glued the poster board tail feathers of my tearaway directly to the inside of my cotton shirt. This was not how I planned on attaching it because I knew what would happen. The glue leaked through, leaving really ugly dark spots, both from the glue and the black poster board. I was furious because I had spent all that time making both the tail and the shirt, something I was going to be wearing for 2/3 of our skit. At the same time, I couldn't get angry at my mom without risking a huge blow-up fight, which would only have messed up my timeline even more. Not having the time or materials to remake the shirt, I ended up having to fold the shirt into a funky little box pleat just at that spot to cover the issues. Way to roll with the punches, though, and make it work. That's great.
I want to be a funky little box pleat. That
funky little box pleat. That sounds like a band
a compliment.
name.
Yeah. Or a dance move.
Yeah. So if you guys have a story you'd like to send to us, you can do so on our Discord, of course, but you can also do that via email at cosplaystitchandseam@gmail.com or
you can go to the website and fill out the Google form at cosplaystitchandseam.com or
share it on our Facebook page. And while you're on there, join our Work in Progress Wednesdays. And since you're on the internet, there's so many different things that you can do on there. But one of those things is to help us out. Leave a review on Apple Podcasts, Audible, Podchaser, wherever they let you, not Stitcher anymore. And we will read it on the show, and we will take your feedback into consideration because that's something that we legitimately enjoy hearing. While you're on the internet and helping us out, share it with a friend. And if you've got a few bucks to spare, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/cosplaystitch. $3 a month gives you a shout out on the show. $5 a month gets you the live stream. Those awesome people are welcoming to the group is Queer Eye Sci-Fi.
I love that.
And then, of course, Howl Kaz, Hot Riku, Rena Mira, Jazzy Kofed, Jaguar Quinn, Gloria Shu, Sudi, Stacy Pitt, Shock H, and Silver Deeds. Thanks so much for being so awesome.
Yay, thank you.
So thanks to those fantastic people. You guys really are just something special. The $5 tier, you get to join our D&D game. And that's just a super awesome time to hang out with all of us and just play some D&D that has some cosplay tropes in it, and it's fantastic.
I can recommend it as a viewer. I watch it; it's fun.
Oh, thank you. And then also, if Patreon's not your thing, we also have a coffee, KOFI, Cosplay Stitch.
Nice. Mercedes, one more time your brush challenge.
Yes, brush challenge. One video of you as you are beautiful, normal you. We love you. Then cover the camera with a brush, any brush that you want it to be, and switch to another video where you are in full epic cosplay. Aha!
Yes.
Send those to me. April 30th, cosplaystitchandseam@gmail.com. Oh, yeah.
Hooray. And remember, Fox Beauty Cosmetics, that's Fox with 2 X's.com. Use the promo code Stitch and Seam to receive an additional 10% off. They're all vegan products. Thanks as always to Macy Roberts for the use of our theme song and to David Jeffress for his wonderful skill with all of the editing. Why don't you tell us about your podcasts?
Yes, so Dungeons & Chill, Curse of Strahd Episode 4 will be coming out in the month of April, so make sure that if you enjoy Dungeons & Dragons and you enjoy the audio side of things that we release for Cosplay Stitch, go over there, hang out, and share the love for over there. If you enjoy comic books, I have Comic Trades Monthly, where we talk about your favorite comic book collection in a book club format. Most recently, as of tomorrow, we will be talking about Bingo Love, and it's just such a great book, you guys. Like I cannot recommend it enough. It's lesbian grandmas finding each other late in life and experiencing life together. What else do you need? Like it's
amazing.
Just so good.
I want to read it.
Yes, please do. I would highly recommend it.
I'm gonna.
So those are my current podcasts for now.
Do you want to give us a sneak preview of what our episode next week is going to be?
Yeah. I have talked about my super secret project for quite some time, and as of this week, as we are recording, I am planning on releasing it sometime next week, and we will be having a sneak preview for those episodes. So be looking forward to that. I'm super anxious about it, you guys.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
So cool.
It's going to be so much fun. Let's see. Oh, one more question, Kame. So if I dreamed of swimming in a sea full of like orange soda, would you say it was a fantasy?
Ah.
Hey. Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you for your laughter.
Okay, my cat. 1 second. Bookie.
Is it Buki?
Oh, yep, it is Bookie. Okay.
I love Buki. Buki, I'm your best bud. I'm wearing the pants with the holes in them that you like to scratch.
Hello, Blooper Reel. How are you doing? Oh, future David. This one's for you.